everyone, it's Jennifer from Flux. In this video, I'm going to show you how to crochet a granny miter square. This is a traditional granny square that we've started with, and we've added some rows onto one side of it and across the top to make a mitered square. So we're going to go through this square stitch by stitch, and we're going to begin by making rounds and then go through the rows. And I'm going to show you how to do it every stitch of the way. So let's get started. For this tutorial, you'll just need a pair of scissors and a tapestry needle just to weave the ends in at the end of our tutorial. And then the yarn and the hook, you can really use anything you like. Check your yarn label for the recommended hook size for the particular yarn that you'll be using. I'm going to be using an 8mm L crochet hook, and this yarn is called Bernat Maker Home Deck. I use this for my Boardwalk Breeze blanket, so I'll put the link down below for that if you want to check out this yarn and see what it looks like all stitched up into a blanket. So our granny mitered square that we're going to make can be achieved in just 5 rounds. However, you can keep going on and on and on and make this into a blanket. You can make it into larger pieces simply just by repeating the last round I'm going to show you. But we're going to make kind of a sample size. So let me just zoom in so you can see my hands a little bit better. And what we're going to do to begin is put a slip knot on our hook. Wrap the yarn around your fingers to make a loop. Bring the yarn behind the loop. Reach in with your hook, bring up a loop, and tighten. The next thing we're going to do is make the beginning part of our granny square, which is going to be more of the traditional granny square, and then we're going to start building up the sides, okay? So rounds 1 through 3 are going to look like a traditional granny square, and then rounds 4 and 5 are going to be the building of the sides to make the mitered look, and then you can keep going on beyond that if you like as well. Okay, so what we need to do is to create a ring that we're going to work our stitches into. We're going to chain 4. To make a chain, wrap the yarn around the hook and bring it through the loop. That's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then we're going to join in the chain farthest from our hook to create the ring. So insert the hook into that chain farthest from the hook, wrap yarn around hook, bring up a loop, and you're going to bring that loop through the loop that's already on your hook. And then what I like to do is kind of open up that ring a little bit. As a side note, if you prefer, I get this question a lot, if you prefer the magic ring versus the starting chain way of doing this, definitely feel free to do that as well. The next thing we're going to do is begin round 1. For round 1, we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then we're going to work 3 double crochets into the center of the ring. Now if you notice, I'm holding this tail along the edge of the work, and that will weave that in as we go along. So we're going to work 3 double crochets into the center of the ring. To make a double crochet, wrap yarn around hook, insert the hook into the center, bring up a loop. You'll have 3 loops on the hook. Wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the first 2 loops. Wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the last 2 loops. And you know, I'm going to come in just a hair more so you can see better. Okay, so that was 1 double crochet, but we need to work 3. So 1, 2, and 3. Just like that. Now I also wanted to mention that because we're working lots of stitches into the center of this ring, if you need to push them over and kind of slide them out of the way, definitely feel free to do that. It looks a little bit neater too if you do that. Then we're going to, we did our 3 double crochets, then we're going to chain 1. Then we're going to work 3 more double crochets. So 1, 2, and 3. Okay, let me just get a little bit more yarn here. Then we're going to chain 1, and I like to slide my stitches over, kind of neaten them up a little bit. Then we're going to work 3 more double crochets. So if you've ever made a granny square, this will look very familiar to you. So 1 double crochet, 2, and 3. Push things over, chain 1. Then what we're going to do is work, now we have 3 groupings now. 1, 2, 3. We did our chain 1. You'll want to chain 1 in between each of those groupings because we're going to work stitches into there. Now we're going to work 2 double crochets into the center of the ring. So double crochet, double crochet, and if you remember that chain 4 we did at the beginning of the round, that counts. The first 3 chains of that counts as a double crochet, and the other chain counts as a chain, okay? So we're going to count 3 chains up, 1, 2, 3, insert the hook into that 3rd chain up, bring up a loop, bring that loop through the loop that's already on your hook. So we're going to work a slip stitch to close the round, okay? So right now it looks very much like a square, and it looks kind of like with our groupings here, it looks like a little plus sign. Now what I like to do before I proceed is to take this center tail, remember we wove it in as we went along, pull it nice and tight. If you did the magic ring, you can trim your little tail as well. We're just going to snip it. I like to just get it out of the way. Okay, so we're going to stick with the same color and move on to round 2. Okay, so for round 2, we need to get over to our chain 1 space, our corner space here. So we need to work a slip stitch to get to the right spot. So slip stitch over. Okay, now we're at that corner space with our hook. If you want to change colors on each round, what you can do is simply cut the yarn and tie it right into that corner space and begin the round, okay? So for round 2, we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Work 2 double crochets into that chain 1 space, that corner space. So 2 double crochet, 1 and 2. Then, staying in that same space, we're going to chain 1 and work 3 double crochets. This is going to give us a corner. Okay, so 1, 2, and 3. Okay, just get a little bit more yarn here. All right, so we have a corner established. Now you're going to chain 1, and you're going to skip over that grouping of 3 double crochets and go to that next chain 1 space, that corner space. And on this corner space, we're going to do 3 double crochet this time. 1, 2, 3, then chain 1, then work 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3, just like that, okay? Now we have our corner established. Chain 1, hop over to that next corner space in between the groups of 3 double crochet, and we're going to do the same thing. 3 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, chain 1, and 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, here we go, chain 1, and we're in that last corner, okay? So just do it the same way. 3 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, chain 1, and 3 double crochet in that same space. Okay, 1, 2, and 3, just like that. Then you're going to chain 1. Now, where we began, count 3 chains up, join with a slip stitch to close the round, and round 2 is complete. So as you may notice, it still is looking very much like a traditional granny square. For round 3, it's going to be very similar to round 2. It's going to still be the more traditional centered granny square. But what we need to do is, because we're sticking with the same color, we need to slip stitch over to the corner space once again. Same thing as before. Again, if you want to switch colors, simply cut the yarn and tie it into the new yarn into the corner space. Okay, so for round 3, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to start it the same way as we did round 2. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and work 2 double crochets into that corner space. 1 and 2 double crochets. Then what we're going to do is chain 1 and now work 3 double crochets into the same corner space. We're going to start the round the same exact way. So 1, 2, and 3. Just like that. Now we're going to chain 1, and this is where the round differs from round 2. So before we just had 4 corners, now we have side spaces as well, and they're just slightly different. So now we have corner, side, corner, side, corner, and so forth. Okay, so for those side spaces, we're going to work 3 double crochet, 1, 2, let me get my yarn, and 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1. Now we're at a corner again. So for our corners, we do 3 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, chain 1, and then 3 more double crochet into that same corner space. 1, 2, 3, just like that. Chain 1. Now we're doing a side, 3 double crochet, chain 1, 1, 2, 3, chain 1, work your corner, so 3 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, chain 1, and then 3 more double crochet in the same corner space. 1, 2, and 3. All right, we are moving right along here. So chain 1, now we're at a side again, so 3 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, chain 1. Then we're going to work our corners the same way. 3 double crochet, 1, 2, and 3, chain 1, and then 3 more double crochets in that same corner space. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, now we just have one side remaining. So chain 1 and work 3 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, chain 1, and then we're going to join in that third chain up once again. So 1, 2, and 3, join with a slip stitch to close the round. Okay, so now we have a nice little granny square that you can build off of, basically. Okay, so at the in the information notes part of the video, like I mentioned before, if you wanted to skip to this part over the granny square and you've just arrived, we have a 3-round granny square that we're going to be starting with. Okay, so if you've made the granny square, I gave the option to kind of skip ahead to this part. Also, in the information part, I have the timestamp, so it makes like a little link and you can click right to this part. So we're going to start building rows. So before, we've worked in rounds for our granny square. Now we're going to work on the mitered part of our square, start adding rows to our square. So it's really interesting. It's a really interesting way to build a square. So what we need to do, once again, if you're sticking with the same color, we need to slip stitch over to the corner space. Once again, if you are sticking with the same color, you're going to do this. If you're switching colors, you'll want to cut the yarn and just tie it into the corner space. You'll want to start at the corner space. So for row 4, the first row of our mitered part of our square, what we're going to do is we're beginning at that corner space, either way, if you're sticking with the yarn or a new color, and we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. In this same corner space, we're going to work 2 double crochet right into that corner space. So 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, and then chain 1. Okay? Then we're going to work across into each of these side spaces. We're going to work 3 double crochet, chain 1 into each side space. Okay? So 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, 3 double crochet, chain 1, hop over to the next side space and do the same thing. 3 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, and chain 1. Now we're going to work the corners a little bit different than we've been doing, okay? So hop over to this corner space and we're going to work into that corner space. We're going to work 3 double crochet, 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. So our corner space is going to be a little bit bigger this time. And then we're going to work 3 double crochets back into that same corner space. So 1, 2, and 3. Okay? So it'll look like that. Okay? We're just working up the sides now. Hop over to that side space that you come to and work 3 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, chain 1, then hop over to the next side space and work 3 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, just like that. And then what we're going to do is chain 1, and then at the end of the row, right here in that corner space, we're just going to work a double crochet, and that'll be it. So work a double crochet into that corner space. So as you can see, we now have a row here and here of mitered square rows, okay? We just have one more row to do, and the row we're about to do is the row that you'll repeat for as long and as big as you want your square to be. So let's move on to row 5, and that's the last row we're going to do together, because that's the only row you'll need to repeat for the rest of your square, however big you want to make it. So what we're going to do is, we don't need to slip stitch over at any other locations anymore. We just can go from here. So we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and turn our work. Now in this very first chain space that you come to, this chain 1 space, we're going to work 2 double crochet and a chain 1. So 2 double crochet, 1 and 2, and then a chain 1. Then we're going to work our sides the way we've been working them the whole time. So work 3 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, chain 1, 3 double crochets in the next side space, 1, 2, 3, chain 1. Then the corner will be worked the way we did the corner for row 4. So we'll just do 3 double crochet, 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Then work 3 more double crochets in that same corner space. 1, 2, and 3. Just like that. Okay? Then we're going to chain 1. And I sometimes like to just kind of stop and straighten things out when I do squares of any kind, really. Now we're going to do our sides once again. So we're going to work 3 double crochets in that first side space. 1, 2, 3, chain 1. Next side space, 3 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, chain 1. We have one more space to work into, so 3 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, chain 1, and now at the end of the row, you can see there were 2 double crochets at the end of the row and then this turning chain. So at the top of this turning chain at the end of the row, you're going to kind of wiggle your hook in there just like that. You might need to use your hand to help guide it through. And then, whoops, I didn't do my wrap yarn around hook. So just work a double crochet in that topmost chain of the turning chain from the previous row. And that's how you'll finish the row off, okay? So let me move my hook out of the way. I'm just gonna kind of straighten things out. And if we look at our square, we now have a nice mitered square. I'm gonna work a couple more rows just to show you how it'll look as it grows a little bit, but it looks great and it's starting to really get some of that mitered look. So I'm gonna work another row or two just to kind of show you, and then we'll finish up our square. So I worked another row just to show you what it looks like when it's a little bit bigger. So then all you have to do when you're finished your square is to cut the yarn, fasten off, wrap the yarn around the hook, pull it through the loop. We already trimmed that middle tail that we wove in as we went along, but for this one, just grab your tapestry needle and you can just go through those stitches. Just make it nice and neat and as hidden as possible. You can bring it in one direction, then bring it back in the other direction just to kind of lock it into place. Okay, and then just pull it through, trim with your scissors, and your square is complete. Now, like I mentioned before, I have a full pattern if you want to make a whole blanket for this. It's a written pattern and a full video tutorial, so definitely check that out. So that is how you crochet a granny miter square. Thanks so much for watching, and be sure and click the subscribe button to get all the latest Fiber Flux video updates. Thanks again!